The stimulus stalemate in D.C. GOP senators walked away from a 2-hour meeting with President Biden yesterday with no deal in hand for COVID relief. Both sides saying more talks are on the horizon. Joining me right now is former acting White House Chief of Staff and former OMB Director Mick Mulvaney. Mick, it's good to see you. Thanks very much for joining us. So how do these things play themselves out? You got one side saying we want $1.9 trillion deal. You got the other side saying we want something closer to $600-700 billion. What's your take on where we are here in terms of stimulus? Can you believe we're still talking about it and it still hasn't come out?
Sure. Anytime you have an economy where we are right now, you're going to have talks about stimulus. And of course, Washington likes spending money. So if they have an excuse to do that, they're going to jump on that. But the way it ordinarily works in the real world is that you would set a price at $10, I would set a price at $5, and we'd compromise someplace in between. That's really not how Washington works. Bipartisanship, Maria, is much more difficult than people realize. It takes strong leadership, especially from the majority party. One of the reasons Ronald Reagan was so good at being bipartisan was that he could get Republicans to do what they didn't want to do. Bill Clinton, to a certain extent, could do the same thing with his party. Joe Biden is an extraordinarily weak leader. What people don't talk about nearly enough is that nobody really voted for Joe Biden. They voted against Donald Trump. So Biden comes in without a lot of political capital within his own party. So while his own personality might lead you to think he wants to be bipartisan and cut deals, he doesn't really have the power right now to get his party to do that. So it's going to be very, very difficult, I think, to hammer out a bipartisan stimulus bill. And what you're going to see is the Democrats trying to force something through by themselves.
Well, I think you make such an important point here, Mick. I mean, look, all this time we're hearing President Biden talk about unity this, unity that, unity this, and yet you've got Beijing putting sanctions on former Trump cabinet members, Secretary of State. OK, Mike Pompeo gets sanctioned by Beijing, not a peep from Joe Biden. You've got Democrats saying that anybody associated with Trump cannot go speak, cannot get their ideas heard in the public square, not a peep from Joe Biden. You've got censorship happening in technology, censorship of conservatives, not a peep from Joe Biden. I mean, shouldn't we hear from the president of the United States to say, stop? We are not this. This is America, and we do not make blacklists of people we don't agree with. He hasn't said anything about any of it.
There's a lot of places that President Biden could be leading on, but I think you hit the nail on the head, which is that he's saying one thing and doing another. Not the first politician ever to do that, by the way, but he's talking about unity. He's talking about bipartisanship. I give him credit for having the meeting last night with the 10 Republican senators and sticking through it for 2 hours. I think that's a good sign. But at the same time, once you get down below the surface, and not very far below the surface, what you see is a hard move to the left, not only against Trump supporters, but also just towards the progressive movement. The things that are happening with regulations, the things that are happening throughout his new administration are a strong lurch to the left. But all we hear about is this thin veneer of bipartisanship at the top. And I think it's very dangerous.
Yeah, that's right. So meanwhile, Pelosi and Schumer introduced identical budget plans, $2.15 trillion fiscal year 21 budgets that starts reconciliation procedure, adding $250 billion to the Biden plan. What's your take on what we heard from Schumer and Pelosi on their budget plans? Two fiscal buckets, relief and recovery, and the game of sequencing.
I think it's a 2020 budget plan, believe it or not. What they're trying to use is reconciliation, which is a really boring, arcane piece of the rules in the House and the Senate that allow them to pass legislation through the Senate with less than 60 votes. They did it to pass Obamacare. We did it to pass our tax reform bill in 2017. It's a tool that gets you around that filibuster, but you can only use it as a budget. You only get to do one budget a year. But since the Congress didn't pass a budget for last year, 2020, that is still sitting out there. So I still think that's a 2020 budget plan that they're using to try and get this thing passed. The difficulty they are going to have, Maria, is that budget reconciliation is designed to deal with spending and revenue and not policy. So they might be able to get some of their COVID relief plan through reconciliation, but it's unlikely they could get something like a $15 minimum wage through that mechanism.
And any thoughts on Vlad Tenev, Robinhood CEO, testifying on Capitol Hill February 18th before the House Financial Services Committee? It hasn't been formally announced, but what do you want to hear out of this? Real quick, Mick.
Robin Hood has managed to do something that we talked about at the outset of this interview that's very difficult. They've managed to get bipartisanship in Washington, D.C. And right now, I think the only bipartisan thing in Washington is that everybody hates Robin Hood. That's unfortunate because I think if you drill down into what happened over the course of the last couple of days, the system worked the way that it was supposed to. The capital requirements worked. By the way, this is Dodd-Frank.
That's right.
And I'd love to see Robin Hood make the picture. This is exactly what the Democrats wanted, but they've managed to upset both the Democrats and Republicans in these hearings promised to be really nasty.
That's what I said. Let free markets run. Mick Mulvaney, good to see you this morning. Thank you, sir.